Hey, this is Chris, keeping it real. How you doing this morning? Heading over to Lowe's. I had a light switch kind of like self-destruct. We were lucky we didn't burn the house down, I guess. So anyway, this is an essential trip that I have to make. I'm just going to go ahead and buy 4 or 5 other light switches while I'm there because we live in a mobile home. We've had it for quite some time. 24 years. It's held up pretty well. I've done a lot of work to it though. Added on a living, like a den kind of thing, where we watch TV and spend most of our time. But be that as it may, I have to go get some stuff. It's time for a little bit of maintenance work. Now it's better. Haven't done any stats. I've done a couple videos on stats, ongoing stats, and I'm just going to wait until next Monday to see how things actually have progressed versus what I expected. The rate of the increase is not nearly what I expected. I think it's going to be about half of what I thought it was going to be. So, but that brings me into the point of the video is it's like, okay, so the number of cases is only half as much as I thought, therefore we are not nearly as far into the pandemic as I thought, and so therefore we are extending the time that everyone needs to stay home. And at some point, this whole staying home thing, and I just want you to think about this, I'm not being dogmatic about it, and I certainly don't have an answer for it, but at some point people are going to have to go out and make money before one of two things happens. They don't have any money at all and suffer dire consequences because of that, and or the country, because all these people cannot go out and go to work, will suffer the dire economic consequences of what's going on right now. I think the main thought that I'm having is, it doesn't really do any good. Well, no, the first point is nobody's saving anybody, right? I mean, there is no cure. You either, from a virus, that's the way a virus works, you either get over it, your body has mechanisms in it that help you, defeat the virus, and it either works or it doesn't. And a lot of the reason why people are dying is because, of course, they've got other health issues that interfere with the way their immune system works, or they've just left their body in such a weakened state that they just can't recover, and so unfortunately they end up dying. And so that's the first point. So by flattening the curve, so to speak, and doing this and doing that, well, that's the only strategy right now, right? That is we're just going to flatten the curve so we don't overwhelm the hospitals. But the fact of the matter is that most people that go on a ventilator, like 2/3, die, and it's not an easy process to go through. I think people confuse ventilators with like an oxygen mask, and they're not the same thing. An oxygen mask is just something you put over your face, and you kind of like a CPAP machine or something like that. It kind of just gives you oxygen under a little bit of pressure, and it helps you breathe. It gets the oxygen down in your lungs. And a ventilator is where they shove a hose down your throat. Well, down your trachea, excuse me. And that they can really adjust the pressure of the air going in. They can get, but it's, I've heard the way it works is that basically the pressure is supposed to force the moisture back into your bloodstream instead of having it sit there in your lungs the way it had been. But it requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of support staff. It requires a lot of drugs. And so, with the prognosis not being good, and these are just hard questions that everybody's going to have to grapple with it sooner or later, because here's what's going to happen. Okay, people are going to die now, or people are going to die later, and that's really the way it is. I mean, we're keeping it real, right? I mean, people are going to die now, or people are going to to die later. They're going to die on ventilators now, or they're going to die at home because there's no point of taking someone to the hospital when you know the hospital's already full. Or we can wait until the economy, we can keep on keeping these rules in place until the economy collapses and then people don't have money to buy food and they starve to death. I mean, and the government doesn't have enough money to feed everybody, you know. And so if we get into another Great Depression kind of thing, I think the number of dead will make the coronavirus pale in comparison, because because nobody will have access to medical care, because nobody will be able to afford insurance. I mean, we need to think about these things when we're talking about keeping people in their homes. And of course, like, we're not imprisoned in our homes, but you really, you can't go out. If you can't go out and work, there's not much value in going out of your house unless you just need to go get some groceries or something. I mean, other than that, the main reason people leave their homes is to go to work. And so I hate to be like gloom and doom about it, but this is what's coming. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's thought about this, right? I mean, this is what's going to come. If people can't go back to work in a reasonable amount of time, say the next 30 days or so, then it's going to get, economically, it's going to be bad. And it's going to be a lot worse than it is now, because then we'll have sick people and we'll have people out of work. And there won't be any money to pay for any of it. So that's just, it's kind of like, it is a lesser of two evils. What do you do, I mean, you can make a greater good argument. That's better, to let people die off now rather than hurt the whole population later. And that's just, I know that's cold-hearted, isn't it? I mean, but this is what we face. These are decisions we have to make, and I don't know. All I know is, at some point in time, I'm going to have to go back to work, and it doesn't matter what the risk is, because if we don't have food, or if the money becomes worthless because the government has hyperinflated us into the stratosphere because they're just printing money and giving it out to everybody, which is another possible outcome, honestly. So yeah, none of it's not there. There aren't any like happy endings here, I don't think. The fact of the matter is, a certain number of people have to get infected before this pandemic will be over. They have to. It is. If this ATM is closed again, I'm going to be really ticked. But that's the way it is. There is no. There's not going to be any saving, Savior coming to save us all. Well, unless you believe in Jesus. He is coming, but I don't think he's coming anytime soon. So yeah, so it's just, gosh, what have we got? People everywhere. Hi.
Hey, you need to speak to a teller, or do you need to just go to the ATM?
ATM.
Yeah, go ahead. We're trying to. They're keeping one line open for like signing documents and stuff, like loan papers or whatever, and the other two for like teller transactions, deposits. If you want to withdraw directly from a teller,
Right.
But the ATM line is always open. So.
Yeah, great. I don't know why more people don't use it. It's so easy.
The only time I go in, they credit union when I need to get a cashier's check.
There you go.
Pay my rent once a month.
You have a good day.
I go to the ATM. I don't even come up to the bank.
Yeah, right.
I go to the standalone.
Right. Have a good day. Okay, well, we've got cops at the bank. That's interesting. But as you heard, it's just to keep order. Well, I mean, not to keep a civil order, just to make the bank work better. So anyway, like I said, no easy answers. No, unless somebody comes up with a vaccine like next week. It's going to be next year, and they still haven't gotten one for SARS too. So there you go. That's where we're at. I'm going to do another rant about our medical profession, but not on this one. All right. You got any questions or comments? Please leave them in the section below. like and subscribe. We appreciate when you do. And we'll see you on the next video.